Welcome to Hochoka Podcast.
Filmmaker George Lucas of Star Wars fame addressed teachers with these words: "You have the most important job of anyone today. Our kids need you to advocate for their futures." During our last episode, we learned how vital the Lakota language is for the future of our students. Today, we learn how two women are advocating for them. Hello, Madakiepi. Welcome to Hochoka, here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian School's campus. I'm Scott Wooster, your Hochoka host. Back with us to continue our discussion of Lakota language preservation are my wife and Lakota Studies lead, Lorraine Wooster, and Associate Native American Studies teacher, Charla Krogman. Today we explore how Charla and Lorraine advocate for students through language studies. A warm Hochoka welcome back.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Good to have you both here. Last episode, we really dug into why it's important for the language to be taught and preserved. This time, we're going to move a little more specifically into what you do every day in the classroom, what you use to teach the kids, how that looks, and some of the benefits of it and some of the pitfalls, some of the problems that you might have implementing those things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Let's jump into it. So, I think I'll just turn it over to you guys and let you talk just a little bit about what is the approach that you take. You've been doing it
Since 2002.
But longer than that.
Right. But when I came in 2002, I taught culture and infused language into the cultural curriculum.
Okay.
Then in 2012, we flipped that and taught language and infused culture into that language. So what it looked like was when you learned about the seasons, we talked more about what the seasons meant to our people, what they did. Now, when you talk about the seasons, you specifically use the Lakota words and apply what you do in those seasons with verb conjugation and say, for example, I plant in the spring. So, wetu, you plan a garden and put that sentence together, whereas in 2002 beginning, we would talk about, okay, it's spring. How do we say spring? Wetu. Okay, what do we do? So it's flipped somewhat and evolved, but it isn't to an immersion place yet. Mm-hmm. And Charla is in her second year with me, which is a blessing. So she probably has a really good outward picture of where was it and where has it come and where is it going.
So 2 years with Lorraine. It's been amazing. So when I came in, it was mostly language. And when I started, I work with the younger group of students. So trying to get them the foundation to get to where Lorraine's groups are at. And I think our approach is where all good teaching starts is with our students and meeting them at their levels, giving them the dignity of who they are and where they come from, because we have a lot of diversity coming in. Yes, they are all Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, or other Native American affiliations, but not everybody grew up in a Lakota-speaking home, or even in Lakota-speaking communities. We have urban Native American children, some that come from reservations or in towns boarding reservations. So it's quite, not difficult for us, but just, a challenge that we're able to meet, I think. And I think we try to do a good job with that. And that comes back to our circle of care and just understanding who they are as individuals, what we can bring to them, and really motivating them to want to learn at each individual grade as well. Mm-hmm. So Yeah.
So you've taken over with the younger kids?
Yes.
At grades what?
First through fourth.
First through fourth.
Yep.
And then you take the older kids.
5th through 8th.
5th through 8th,
Yes.
who you may have taught some of them when they were younger too.
Yep.
And it works well to do it that way?
Yes.
What are the benefits of splitting it that way?
I think just having, with me personally, knowing which level we have 3 different levels of books, curriculum books that we use, and I can get them through the first book because that's building that foundation. And then that just coming in so green, I guess, compared to Lorraine. I mean, she's had many years experience in a lot more language. I can learn right along with the students, and it's kind of amazing just to even learn from them some of the things they can bring into class.
The split is awesome for me, just having somebody be there and get new ideas. Because as a teacher teaching from 2002, I started with this curriculum and learned how to insert games and how to work with flashcards or how to use an iPad with it. And so I get to share that with Charla, but also Charla comes in green and she has her own bright ideas from her experiences that she has been through from an educational perspective. She's got some great experiences. And so she gets to turn that around and add those to mine, which I think really bridge together. I see her come up with a new idea of how to teach the numbers to kids instead of just bingo or flashcards or, matching, whatever it is. So I think having 2 of us really helps support that. And I think people end up being a little more comfortable with younger middle school, high school. So I think that experiences that I've had the kids, it's not somebody new coming in and they're nervous to speak their language with a new teacher. It's just that comfortable phase. And I think we talked about before, when we get to 7th and 8th grade, we split them by gender. And I think Charla is starting to see that even with younger kids, how they're starting to get nervous about speaking in front of their, girls speaking in front of boys or boys speaking in front of girls. We've talked about that a little bit. So. And
there's differences in the way the gender is spoken too, or am I off base there? Do you teach it differently to girls than you would to boys?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, for example, you would say pilamayayo for a male, pilamayaye for a girl. But young boys can also speak the female version until they're an elder male. It's okay because a lot of them are taught by their grandmas and their aunties and their moms. So they learn that female way of speaking, which I was taught at class is okay for a boy to use until he's an elder male or an adult male. Then he should start using his male gender endings.
Okay. And I'll say right here that it's my understanding of the language. It's so complex and it has to be complex to teach because you guys have different experiences, the way you grew up and the way you were taught it or not taught it. In your case, you weren't taught it at all. So you came to it probably in your 30s when you began to teach it. Every single person that I've ever met that speaks Lakota or Dakota language, Nakota language, they're at a different place on their continuum of where they learn it. So it's not just the kids, it's the adults, and everybody understands it a different way. And a lot of people think there are different ways to teach it and effective ways to teach it. But teaching can't really just start with books that you bring off the shelf. You can't, it's hard to do it right with an off the shelf curriculum that you just bring in. Each individual students and their backgrounds have to bring their own piece of that to how we begin to address how to shape that a curriculum. Can you
Right.
talk about that?
And I think Charla is a really good example of that. I mean, I gave her the curriculum and said, here you go, here's book one. And she does. She'll take, okay, we're going to talk about family here. I'm going to add in some Lakota values about what kinship is and respect. And as a school, we get to do that. So we add that in, but she will find a story or a video that goes with it to just give that deeper meaning that adds to the curriculum that doesn't feel so curriculum following the book kind of stuff.
Right.
And we as a school add that in too. So then we have Orange Shirt Day and we have language that goes along with that, or we have our Tioshbe week where we work with the kids to, it's sort of teaching to the test, but okay, this is a review, this is what you need to know, we're going to do some things. So we don't constantly follow the curriculum all the time. We apply what's happening on campus, whether it's missing and murdered Indigenous people or relatives, powwow happening. Right now, 7th grade is taking a break on the language, and we're learning about cultural trip. But each month we have values, and we add that into. So we don't just follow the curriculum.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to apply to the real world in order to make that work.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to make it relevant for the students so that they can jump in on it and just really, this is another way to tie in the lesson.
Yeah, like a story problem in math, right? I mean,
Yes.
instead of just learning the numbers, you would learn the stories that went along with them.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people who are really frustrated by story problems.
Yes.
But that's you have to apply the language to the real world, which brings me, and you kind of hit on it earlier, and maybe we'll flesh it out a little more, the immersion style teaching for that. You said we can't do that here. Explain what it is, why that wouldn't fit our system all that well, and the benefits of that.
So the immersion classrooms, maybe on some of the communities on the reservations, they don't just teach Lakota studies or just what we're doing. They do all the subjects, and at least half of the day is strictly Lakota communication. I mean, Koliapi, the language is spoken. And we have 80 minutes a week with each of our groups. So to have that, we would have to be teachers in all of the core subjects and also Lakota language.
Yeah.
So that would be really hard. Also, our kids, which grade would we do then? We would have to pick just one class each and then have that. Well, then the rest of the kids wouldn't get the language. So the class sizes are small in immersion schools. I know even a fluent speaker, they know the language, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can teach all those other subjects as well. So there's a lot of things to consider when you talk immersion, and it would be a wonderful place to be, but it's just not feasible for us. And
It'd be a dream, I would imagine. How many schools are doing that right now? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I know the one in Mission that Sage Fast Dog leads. I believe they went up to 5th grade with their language immersion. One of them did, but then when they hit 5th grade, they had to stop because they had to create the curriculum in full language for 6th grade and 7th grade and keep moving up. So if you think about what Charla said, apply those Lakota words to math, science, social studies, and our language is always evolving. We're always coming up with new words, but you have to have words for those scientific words. And for example, computer is Wa'unspe Omanaye. It's language that goes around and around, which explains the internet. Then you have to come up with words that go into the computer and all the parts. Or one of my last units with the 8th graders was tools. and the words were so long, but our language is descriptive. And a lot of the words were the same word, which is a tool, something that fixes something. And then it was this little interesting little meaning part. It's difficult. It would be very difficult, like you said, even for a fluent speaker, may have to learn new words, and then also know how to teach, how to manage a classroom, and how to do all those other things that come along with being a teacher. So it could be done with a lot of people, a lot of focus, which would be awesome. But I think what we are doing, we are planting seeds. And it's super fun to plant seeds and have those kids just to see what you can do with what we have 2 days a week.
So what I hear both of you guys describing is very cool. It's a student-first approach is what you're trying to do in the classroom. It's a super challenge. And I've seen, you've come home some days frustrated after language tests, right? Just to say, I wish it was coming faster. I wish there was a way to make this happen. You maybe have to modify your expectations somewhat. As you said, you're planting seeds, but there have to be ways you have to be getting rewards from this. So the students have to be getting rewards to this. Give me a glimpse into that, some stories that help me understand where the payoff is.
In my experience and in my years, I've had a few of those. One was a student emailed me from another school and wanted her the piece of paper for introducing herself. I remember we did this in class. Can you send this to me and help? Two of my daughters, Jackie and Sage, have done the same thing where you want to teach them, you want to work through it at home. They have to be ready just like our students are, but then they come back and go, hey, I want to learn this. How do I do this? Or how do I share this with other people? And so it really has to come from within, and so you also plant that seed. And when that comes back, I would say one of the other really neat things is Charla and I, as I mentioned, get to teach to our high school kids, and to have them come back and say, I really like that you guys get to teach us this, because eventually they have to take a class somewhere. But again, it's that comfort level of continuing to get to have us, but to have that thankfulness come back and say, thank you for teaching me. Thank you for teaching about my language and my culture. Just to see that written in words, you won't hear it as much from their mouths, but to have them write it and say, thank you for teaching us language and culture, that is probably really one of the best things.
Yep. How about you?
Well, I have a fourth grade student, and every week we have a Lakota phrase. And we do it over the intercom every morning with our morning announcements. And one week it was Awagli, I am back or I have returned. And every time this student comes to my room, he walks by me, Awagli, I am back.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, just those little things. And then hearing the second grade voices singing Lakota flag song, I mean, powerful and with no, lack of confidence. They do it and they love it, and their understanding, and just those aha moments you have in class where something was just over their heads, it seemed, or just, weeks down the line, like, did you remember what we talked about? And they do. And those moments are really, they're just, it makes everything worthwhile. And I know Lorraine and I have both heard students say, I want to come back and I want your job.
Yeah, they want to.
So that, to me, that's the biggest compliment and the biggest, reward right there. Yes, please do. I want you to come back and you be the language teacher, or you, teach culture.
Yep. So we started the episode in the header. We talked about how important teaching is, and I would say that in most of teaching, you don't see that end result. It's not. And I'm a counselor too, so I see it in the same way. You don't get that right up front knowledge that what you're doing is working, and the payoff comes later, and the payoff comes in ways that may not be expressed to you all the time, but you are planting seeds, and those things carry forward, and they carry dividends. And you're doing it, especially with the Lakota language, you're doing it in a place where probably 50 years ago, you weren't able to speak that way. We're speaking to a generation now that are able to speak that language and to bring it back. And it's powerful to think that you two are so invested in what you do in teaching this next generation a language that wasn't allowed to be spoken in schools, where kids had, their mouths washed out for speaking that language. It's such a good deal. It's so great that you guys do that, and stay strong and keep doing what you're doing, and be there for the kids, because I know you guys do a great job. I get to hear about it all the time and get to wander through the classroom. So thank you for everything you do.
Wopila, Scott.
And thank you for being here at Hochoka to talk about it, because a lot of our audience, they don't know about these kinds of things. And so we appreciate your time spent saying what you do each day.
Wash day.
And thank you to our audience for joining us here at St. Joseph's Indian School at Hochoka, at the center of campus, where we talk about issues that are central to Native American education today. Until next time, ladies, stay centered.
Stay centered.